Hey guys, what is going on? It is Prime Time here, your favorite green Protoss on the channel SC2 HDTV and 2D. So before I go into what I'll be getting into, and actually I guess it's going to distract my point, my opponent in the bottom right is a red Terran player. As you can tell, this is PVT. He's actually someone that I've played with quite a bit. This isn't on ladder, this isn't like in a tournament or anything serious, but I think we were both trying fairly hard, and I was doing a new build that I hadn't done before, so this isn't necessarily completely perfected or anything, but I thought it was a pretty cool build. I thought it was something that you guys might be interested in trying out on two maps on the current ladder pool, and I'll go into why there's only really two maps that you can do this on. But regardless, our basic strategy here is to do a one build base all-in. Okay, hold on. Let me rephrase this. An all-in off one base. So typically in PVT, you will take an early expansion as Protoss, and if you're not doing that, well, you're probably going to be going all-in. Now this is definitely different from your standard all-in, even though there aren't many. I would say Blink Stalkers is probably the most common. I did get the Gateway in 13 supply, and then I got an assimilator pretty early on, actually. So you're going to get double gas pretty early, so we'll see that unfold. It doesn't really matter the exact timing, to be honest. I would say the latest you want to get both gas down is at like 16 supply. And we'll see, because I got this gas a little bit early, I'm going to get the second one just a little bit later. And that'll be going down any second here. And then put 3 probies on each assimilator. Our red Terran opponent is going to be, I think, 1 Rax expanding. He doesn't have a gas, so that would most likely be what he's doing. And that is the most standard Terran build, is just to go 1 Rax, gasless, expand. And we see this proxy pylon. I did build that with the first scouting worker after I built the gateway. And then I'm going to have another worker coming down here, and he'll be doing his thing, as we'll see. Now my opponent sees double gas. There's basically no way you can deter your opponent from scouting if he chooses to, because, well, you don't have any units. But he sees double gas. He's going to expect some sort of pressure because of the tech that you can get with 2 gas that early. And that tech is going to be a Stargate, and I should probably bring up the production tab. We do see the command centers going down. Very standard for very standard play, and currently all you really want to be doing is getting warp gate research. You don't really need to chrono boost this, and you'll see why, and just getting your probe worker count up as you can. Oh, he scouted this. Oh wow, I actually did not realize that. So that's interesting. Try not to have your tech scouted. It doesn't really matter that it's this proxied either. You could even throw it here or here. Well, I wouldn't really say there, and you'll see why. But you could put it here, here. It really doesn't have to be that close, but he does scout it because it was too close, apparently. So that was a bit of a mistake, but regardless, this will sort of show why this is pretty a pretty strong build. And essentially what this is going to be, and by the way, I'm trying to fake, well, right now I'm scouting for a worker. But I'm going to rally my units down here out of the Stargate, and I'm going to try to pretend like I'm going to expand, but he knows what's coming. So this isn't going to fool him whatsoever. And I am chrono boosting out a Void Ray. Essentially, you want to make 3 Void Rays out of here, and then build your 4 gateways when you have the money. And there are 2 maps that you can do this build on. One of them is obviously Ohana, which is what we see here. And the other map is Entombed Valley. The reason for that are these really fancy things right here called Disruptor Rocks. What you're allowed to do with these, as I'm sure you guys already know, is charge up your Void Rays on the rocks, then fly them in and kill everything. So it's very convenient to be able to do that, to be able to kill everything, so it's pretty helpful. Now, he has pretty much stopped SCV production for a little bit, so actually, at this point in the game, even though he has perfect scouting, I do have a worker lead, so that's nice. And we'll see how he chooses to respond to this. Obviously, Marines are good, because Marines are good against everything. But I wonder if he's going to get a Viking as well, because Vikings can kite Void Rays pretty well if you have units to sort of deter Void Rays from chasing the Vikings. Another proxy pylon going down, as well as those 3 gateways. So we can see this is going to hit kind of late. Well, I'm not going to say kind of late, but what I mean is, like, if you were to do a 4 gate, you'd be hitting, you know, 45 seconds to a minute earlier. Instead, this is going to be quite a bit later. 2 or 3 Void Rays is the number that you want to go with. I know I said 3 earlier. That's just sort of what I chose to do, because Void Rays are good when they're fully charged, and they're sort of useless when they're not in sort of combat, but that's just how it is. Finally, the 4 gate was coming up, even though I'm not transforming this into a warp gate. And so here we go. We're going to see how this does. Now, as I mentioned before, this was the first time that I had done this build, and my opponent also scouted it, so you might be able to get this out a little bit sooner, and you might be able to sort of micro your units or position them better, because although you're able to charge up on the rocks, the stalkers can't really give too much support fire because they have to go through a bunker or whatever else your opponent might have in this position. So we see one stalker goes down. Void Rays are making short work out of the bunker. He did not repair that in time because he cut workers. Now, if he didn't cut workers, he would have less Marines, so that's just sort of a trade-off that he had to make in this instance. And we see some cells warping in. Basically, protect the Void Rays, save the world. It's essentially how this is going down. And all I'm doing right now is just producing units out of the warp gates. It's very simple. If you can kill this command center, that's huge. Because if all else fails, you're able to just to go back, contain them on one base, and expand yourself, and you'll be in the lead. So he said that was so bad by me. I didn't really realize what he meant, because I figured he played it pretty well having a bunker here, but I didn't realize he scouted it. Now, obviously, your opponent scouting your Stargate is the worst thing that can happen for you, because if they don't see that, then you can be doing one of a few things. I would suggest proxying it, but proxy it maybe over here or here. And the main reason for proxying it isn't for the close distance that you can build from it, but because if they scan your base, they won't see it. So, even though scans aren't really used like that, they're not used that early on in the game, I would still suggest proxying it out of your base. But yeah, that was Void Ray 4 gate all in. Now, I did not make this up myself. I saw a Void Ray 4 gate all in the WCS. It was actually done by a Kespa player, but I thought it was pretty cool because you can charge up on the rocks. Now, he did it quite badly. I know he's a lot better than me, but my point is he just didn't really execute it perfectly, and his opponent was pretty good. So, as it turns out, GSL players are pretty good, and he was able to defend it. Now, the differences between the way I did it and the way he did it, I was less aggressive, and I think that's important because keeping your Void Rays alive is the most important thing. And then also having a charge is very important, where using these rocks, you know, if you need to stop if he's got units here, or actually I don't really know how to put this, but if it takes you longer to attack because you're charging up your Void Rays, because let's say you've lost your charge for a second, it's very important that your Void Rays are charged before they go in for the attack. They're just so much more effective. So we can see the total kills was 15 on these Voids, and rallying another Void Ray is optional. Basically, if your macro slips because you're microing really fast and you're doing awesome and stuff, make another Void Ray. Otherwise, lay off the Voids and use your Chrono Boost on your gateways to catch back up in the money spending. So yeah, if you guys want to try that out, in Tomb Valley, Ohana, 2 maps you can try it out on. This is my first time doing it, and he scouted it, and it still works really well, so it might be legit, it might not. I will probably try this again on ladder sometime, even though I really like my macro standard play versus Terran, and I'll show you more of those builds in the near future. Again, I also want to show some PvP stuff, and you guys can close this video out now because I'm just going to cover a couple other general things, but as far as PvZ goes for the channel, I honestly do one build, and that's it. There's obviously many variations and reactions you can make depending on what your opponent's doing in that particular build. But for the most part, it's just the one shell, and then I will do 1 or 2 things different depending on what I see my opponent doing. I said that 2 different ways, but whatever. So that's why I'm probably not going to cover another PVZ game for a little bit. If you want to see my PVZ strategy, which I, by far, would say that's my best strategy, my best matchup, because essentially, unless I make huge blatant mistakes, I will win. And I could show a game, just for the heck of it, of a game that I played in the Zeke tournament last night, where I was playing another master level Zerg, and it was on Daybreak, and I essentially made mistake after mistake after mistake. It wasn't anything too detrimental, even though you would think it was, because I literally lost like 3 Nexus, I think. 3 Nexi got sniped, maybe 3 or 2. And then, I think it was 3. I let Lings into my main base, they burrowed, I didn't realize it. They sniped my Robo Bay. I lost, I think I rebuilt my mothership about 4 times, so I had like 4 or 5 motherships total, like, that I built during the game. So I made a ton of mistakes, and I still won, and it's just because just how the build is executed, and, well, not executed, but because of how the build sort of pans out, in the basics behind it. So I could show that game just to sort of give some, by the way, it looks like I did miss something. For those of you who left early, I'm sorry, but I did pull off 1 probe off each gas. So after I built the final Void Ray, I'm assuming I pulled off 1 worker, and that's just because you will have too much gas otherwise. Because if you notice, I didn't make a single sentry, and you don't really need them. I think the most important use for them would probably be Guardian Shield. So unless you're going to force shield around the bunker, but we even saw that wasn't really possible for my opponent to do. So let's just see when I pull off gas. 3-3, still going strong with a 3, and it looks like I pull 1 off here at the 5:20 minute mark, and then I pull another 1 off here. So yeah, I was building my second Void Ray. So I mean, I guess it's just sort of a, as I said, this is my first time doing this. Start off with 3 in each because you want to get your Stargate before your Warp Gate research starts. I didn't mention that either. God, I'm awful. Yeah, just pull a probe off gas, and then if you have too much gas, do it again. If you have too much gas, if you have not enough gas, put it back on. I think you guys get the concept here that I'm driving at. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. My voice is tired because it's the 3rd video I've casted in a row because I want to get some stuff on the channel. But yeah, good luck on the ladder, guys.